As 2018 wraps up, I wanted to present to you my top 10 of 2018. Now, there are a little bit of ground rules here. I'm going to do them just kind of in random order. I'm not really doing a ranking from, worst to best or best to worst or anything like that. But then also, I'm only going to talk about the movies that I have personally reviewed. Now, I've seen a lot of other movies, and some of them are outstanding, like Upgrade. Upgrade is phenomenal. It was a lot of fun, the sci-fi type of thing. Now, I didn't really like the ending too much, or at least I'm not sure how I felt about the ending totally. But overall, it's great, and the filmmaking is fun. There's also First Reformed with Ethan Hawke. Now, that is a stellar performance and just a great film overall. I didn't end up reviewing it, though, so I'm not going to leave that in this ranking. The reviews for the films that I'm going to list now are linked below in the description, so that way you can find out all my full thoughts on each of the films and also how family-friendly they actually are. Now, as I said, this list is going to be at random. It's not in any order, just the top 10 films that I liked during 2018. Now, they may not be the absolute best films of the year. They may not be these technical wonders or just this awesome storytelling. They might be, some of them definitely are, but some of them just I really enjoyed. So here you go. So the first one is Ready Player One. Now, it is based off of the novel by Ernest Cline and directed by Steven Spielberg. I loved it. I had so much fun. Now, I know it didn't stick with the book, but it kept to the heart of the book. And it just, all of the CGI was just spectacular. Like the way that they brought the Oasis, this world together, and brought it to life. You have all of the Easter eggs, just that visual feast of everything pop culture, especially from the 80s, coming to life on screen. I had a blast with Ready Player One. Now, I know some people didn't like it, and they hated it. For me, though, I read the book, I loved the book, I saw the movie, I loved the movie too. Second up is A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski and acted by John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. Wow, knocked it out of the park. I mean, this was tense. Now, I don't really consider it necessarily a horror film, definitely a thriller. And this one, I mean, you're just on the edge of your seat, and the way that they used sound to just convey emotion and to get this point across, and there's not a lot of dialogue. Now, upon my second viewing of the film, I realized there was a lot more musical score to the movie than I had originally remembered. So when I first saw it, and after I saw it, I was like, oh wow, there was nothing in there. It was only natural sound. No, there's actually quite a bit of music in it, but that's okay. It didn't take away from the terror and the tension that builds as these creatures or whatever it is are coming after you. Third up is Crazy Rich Asians. Now, honestly, I didn't want to see this when I saw the trailers for it. I was like, this is not going to be good. This isn't going to speak to me. I mean, I'm not Asian. Clearly, I don't look. I'm some old white guy, and so I just don't think this is going to really speak to me. How wrong I was. Wow, what a great movie. I mean, the story itself is kind of basic, but it was told in such a fresh way, and I absolutely loved all of the characters. And I, as another, again, an old white guy, I could totally relate to it, and it spoke to me, and I could get things out of it, and I just loved it. If you haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians, you definitely should. I've got the novels by Kevin Kwan, and so I'm ready to dive into those, and I don't know how closely they're going to match, but I didn't care, because the movie itself, loved it. Loved all of the characters. They shared in the humor, they shared in the drama. So much fun. Probably one of the biggest gut punch movies of the year was Avengers Infinity War. Wow. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going in. I don't read the comic books, so I can only base what I see on the movies. And so I had heard rumors of what was going to happen, and when it did, wow. I mean, I loved it. I loved all the performances. I loved the culmination of 10 years of Marvel coming together for this fight, and it's just so good. Thanos, finally an awesome Marvel villain. And side note, I'm totally excited for Endgame. Cannot wait. I have no idea where it's going to go. I'm really probably not going to watch any more trailers because I want to go in so blind and be so surprised by it. Coming in fifth on my list is Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary. Now, I gotta tell you, I was excited to see it, but didn't realize how good and pure it was going to be. It's a documentary that basically looks at Mr. Rogers' life. And I kept waiting for the shoe to drop. Sometimes there's a zinger where it's like, oh yes, he's this great guy in, that you see on TV, but in his personal life, he's this way. No, The dude that you saw on screen was the dude how he was in real life and everywhere in his life. And he could get along with all kinds of people, and the messages and the lessons that he brought people were amazing and still are amazing. And I think really it should be required viewing in all schools, Won't You Be My Neighbor, because they need to catch a glimpse of how a person can be and how they can treat people even if they hold differing views. So number 6 for me is probably the most terrifying movie I've ever seen, and that's Hereditary. Now, not terrifying in the true horror sense, but this really broke the genre of horror, I think. That the way that they told the story just was so good. I mean, it's a family drama first and foremost, and then interwoven throughout is just this sheer terror and unease. And I mean, halfway through the film, my jaw is on the ground and I'm literally having to pick it up. And I saw it in the theaters twice, and I loved that experience because I got to see the audience reactions. The first time I was experiencing just along with everybody else. I mean, so when you saw something and you saw it, you're like, whoa, and then you could hear other people as they saw it also. The second time I saw it, I knew it was coming, and so I'm just waiting for people to experience it. And this one lady down in the front, I hear this, "Oh, F no," and it made me laugh because it was so funny because I knew what it was. And really, you giggle throughout some of the movie because it's the only way to let out the tension. Hereditary. So good, so twisted, and just really broke the genre on horror because it's not your actual slasher horror film. Number 7 is Bohemian Rhapsody, the biopic on Freddie Mercury. Now, I know a lot of the criticisms were that it didn't totally reflect reality. I didn't go to watch a documentary. I went to go be entertained and hear some awesome music by the band Queen. And that's exactly what I got. Now, I get some story on Freddie Mercury. I get some story on the band. Whether or not it's totally true, I don't care. I had a blast watching it. Rami Malek did an amazing job as Freddie Mercury. And in fact, the entire cast did, as the band, as management and everything. I mean, I was just so enthralled by the show. And then how can you not just sing along to the songs? When it comes out on Blu-ray, 4K, whatever, they've got to have a sing-along version because, well, you're singing along to it already. Number 8 for me is the best animated film of 2018, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I didn't know what to expect going in, and wow, blown away. Miles Morales, an awesome character, and I hope they do more of movies that surround him and his story because I liked seeing him become Spider-Man. And the rest of the Spider-Verse coming into play like that, outstanding. The animation, too, is phenomenal. I mean, it is so good, and it's comic book come to life. And, you know, some of you may be going, oh, well, that doesn't sound good. No, it's truly visually spectacular. It is so great in the way that they did it that definitely, if you have not seen it, you must. Because it is a great film, it's a good story, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Coming in at number 9 is Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, this is probably the greatest action movie of 2018, and it's probably rivaling up there with of all time. Because the action sequences in this were spectacular. I mean, Tom Cruise is just a nut, and he is so committed to performing that, wow. Thank you, Mr. Cruise, for doing that because we got an amazing show out of your performance. That was so good, and I cannot wait to see where they go with the rest of the Mission Impossibles. I don't know how many they can actually pull off with Tom Cruise in the lead because at some point he's gonna get too old to do these stunts. Last on my list of best of 2018 is A Star is Born. Now, this is a movie that haunted me. And when I say that, it didn't scare me. It just stuck with me for days and days after I watched it. And it has been a really long time since a film has done that. The performances by Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga and even Sam Elliott are just so good, so heartfelt. And yes, I know the story is not original. This is like the 4th or the 5th movie of that story that they've done. Sometimes it's Hollywood and actors, sometimes it's musicians. It doesn't really matter. This was wow. And Lady Gaga can seriously act. I went in skeptical, not totally a fan of her music, but in this, her performances, outstanding. Bradley Cooper, whoa, who knew that he could sing and directing right out of the gate? Gosh, you're setting the bar really high for anything to come. Star is Born, definitely one of my top 10 for 2018. Well, that's my list for 2018. I know that there are other films that are probably on yours. There's probably even some that were like right there on the cusp there, but these are the ones that I chose. So I would love to know, what did you think? Do you agree, disagree? What didn't I put in that would make your top 10 list? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.